Hello, my lovely ones. It's Tracy here, just for the Transform Your Birth catch up to give you a video while I'm away. And I thought that this topic is an important topic because it happens all the time, and that's women get a bit wobbly towards the end of their pregnancy. It's really normal. You know, my first midwife was so very wise. She had been an independent midwife for 30 odd years, had worked very deeply with women and watched their process of transitioning into the birth space and then obviously motherhood. And Maggie always told me, you know, women go through catharsis. She used the word catharsis. They either, if they don't allow it to happen in the pregnancy, it comes up in the birth. And if they put a lid on it in the birth, it comes up in their parenting. And what she's describing is another metaphor I give is that cracking of the shell from the woman into the mother. And even this sort of process of kind of knowing that you're about to walk into the mystery. And, you know, you've done my course and you know that was a good course. You've done the practices and you're feeling like you've done all the right things. And as you get closer, there's a part of you that knows you're about to walk into the mystery. And that can cause us to get a little bit wobbly. Ultimately, what that's doing is bringing you face to face with the fact that you know that you are not in complete control. You can influence, but you can't control it. And that system inside of you is going to go, oh, I don't know about this. I've done all the right things, but what if? And you can lose your confidence a little bit. Really, really normal. What it's doing is getting you to that point where you let go and allow whatever it is to happen to happen. It's that letting go process, or I prefer to call it the fuck it moment, where you're just like, oh, I'm ready for anything. I'll give you a good story. When I was having my third son, because my first two were breech, I really was hell-bent on him being head down. So I did the spinning babies. I was all very, you know, focused on trying to help him to be head down, and I was very, very committed to that and attached, probably is a better word, to that happening. So even though I did all the right things, you still couldn't guarantee that he was going to be head down, because sometimes the shape of your uterus can predispose you to breech babies. So I did all the right things, and I think I was about 38 weeks, and my midwife came and checked me, and she was palpating my stomach to feel what position the baby was in, and she was looking for his head. So when they do that, they're looking for that hard skull type feeling, and she's pushing right down into my pelvis, and she couldn't feel his head. And she said, "Oh, geez, I don't know, Tracy. You know, he's really tucked up. I'm just not sure if he actually is head down. He might be in the breech position." And she talked to me about, you know, having to accept that and what have you. And when she left, I kind of thought, oh, I need to go for a walk. So I went for a bit of a walk around our area, and there's this hill close to where I live, Simpson's Hill. And I walked up the hill, and there was a seat at the top. And I sat there and I looked out over this magnificent view of Tuggeranong and just thought, oh, why does this have to happen to me? And I had a big cry and a big rage, and it's not fair, and I just want to have a normal birth. And all the tears came flooding out in that moment. Anyway, I had my big sort of release. And as I got, you know, walked back down the hill and got home, and the boys were playing outside with Peter, and I sat there, and somebody had given me a beautiful coffee table book of just beautiful photos of babies and mothers and lovely family photos. And I looked at this book, and I was, you know, flicking the pages. And then something inside of me just dropped. There was this just sense of, this is what's important. It doesn't matter whether he's head down, bum down, sideways, out the vagina or out the sunroof. It was in that moment that I realized that I don't care. I just want my baby here. So it's a story of surrender. It's a story of letting go. It's a story of just going, fuck it, I'm ready for anything. Okay. And that's very common. With my second birth, I had a bit of hindwater leaks. So it wasn't a full release of the waters, but there was leaking going on. And so we were trying to bring the labour on, trying to bring an acupuncture, and I was like a pincushion by the end of it. And it wasn't until Peter and I went out for lunch, and we then went for a bit of a walk along the beach and had a massive fight. And I don't know what happened. I can't remember what we were fighting about to this day, but I just released all of this stuff that had been building up and building up and building up, and had a big fight, had a big cry, and then not long after that went into labour. Okay, so it's that place that we get to where we just have to surrender to walking into the mystery. So what I often say to people who, are at that end, and I pretty much do this every time with induction, because the induction process is bringing you into a state of birth potentially before you're ready. So I get people to write a letter to your baby expressing your greatest hopes and fears. And what that's doing is inviting a good emotional release, a letting go, the fuck it moment. Okay, because whether you give it to your baby or not is completely irrelevant. And if you do give it to them, it's going to be a long time down the track. But when you connect with your baby like that, and you start to talk from that deeper part of you where those fears and things you're trying to keep a lid on do sit, and you just give them voice and you release them either on a piece of paper or with someone who's happy to listen, then you're giving yourself the opportunity to bring you into a better state of birth readiness. This is the conversations that people don't have about the emotional, transitional rite of passage aspects to this journey that you're on. So look out for it, give it voice, have your little tanties, let the tears flow. Try your best not to put yourself under pressure to go into labour, okay? Because it's the pressure of going into labour to make things happen is the very opposite physiology to what we need for birth. For what we need for birth is for women to just go, whatever, to surrender, to release your knowledge or your mind from thinking that it's in control, okay? And just going, take the next most obvious step in your journey. Now, if there is pressure for you to go into labour, I'm a great proponent of acupuncture. It can really support and promote birth readiness. It can promote ripeness in your cervix, can support baby to be in a good position. It keeps everything moving in your body, make sure all your meridians are nice and stimulated and clean, and it can also bring you into a beautiful deep state of relaxation. So there's some really good acupuncturists on the website. Go into the resources page, scroll down, look for acupuncturists. You'll see some great ones there. And the other little thing I want to talk to you about is the importance of nesting. Do your best to give yourself the time to build up those energy levels and to disconnect from the outside world. Maybe you want to do a bit of lunch with people you love, as long as it's a joyful, easy lunch, or you go to the movies, that's fine. But don't put too much pressure on yourself to achieve, particularly if you've worked right up until the end, okay? Do your best to just disconnect and go to ground, to invite that labour and let your baby know that, yes, you are indeed in your nest. So I hope that has been useful for you, my darlings. Lots of love to you always, and know that I'm just here if you need it. Okay, see ya.